Christmas appears in literature so often that it risks seeming decorative. A backdrop, a mood, a shorthand for warmth, charity, and communal feeling. But when writers take Christmas seriously, when they refuse to let it remain sentimental, it almost never behaves gently. It presses. It intrudes. It asks questions no other day quite dares to ask. I don't think this is accidental. Christmas is not just a holiday. It is a moment when time thickens. Memory crowds the present. Expectations arrive fully formed. Promises, kept and broken, become visible. The year is not over yet, but it is already being judged. Christmas carries with it the unnerving suggestion that meaning exists, that generosity matters, that lives can be evaluated, and that we already know by what standards. Literature, wary of such claims but fascinated by them, places its characters at Christmas precisely to see what happens when those assumptions are no longer optional. What makes Christmas so powerful and so dangerous is that it removes excuses. To be ungenerous in April can be explained away. To be ungenerous at Christmas feels like a failure of comprehension. The holiday assumes you understand what is required. It does not argue its case. It simply waits to see whether you will live up to it. This is why A Christmas Carol still unsettles when read without nostalgia. Dickens is often accused of sentimentality, but the force of the story lies elsewhere. Scrooge is not converted by kindness. He is cornered by evidence. The ghosts do not teach him new values. They show him the consequences of values he already accepts but has refused to enact. What Scrooge fears is not hell. It is disappearance. The future he is shown is not one of torment, but of absence. No mourners, no memory, no narrative weight. His life ends not with punishment, but with irrelevance. Christmas in Dickens is terrifying because it is the moment when society publicly rehearses care. It makes visible who belongs to the human story and who does not. Scrooge realizes that he has lived in a way that leaves him unreadable to others, and that this unreadability will be final. Redemption must happen now, not because time is short, but because delay under Christmas's gaze becomes intolerable. The holiday functions like a ledger closing itself. When Scrooge vows to honor Christmas all year long, he is not sentimental. He is submitting to an ethical standard that has already judged him once and will do so again. Little Women treats Christmas differently, and in some ways more cruelly. The novel opens with the absence of presents, and with it the quiet panic that virtue might not manifest as expected. Christmas here is not dramatic. It is repetitive. It returns year after year with the same gentle but relentless pressure. Are you the kind of person this season assumes you are? Alcott does not offer a single moment of transformation. There are no ghosts, no revelations that reorder a life overnight. Instead, Christmas becomes a kind of moral weather. It reveals character through habit rather than crisis. Giving is asked for not once, but repeatedly. And because Christmas keeps coming back, it removes the romance of sacrifice. What matters is not whether the sisters can be generous, but whether generosity has become so ingrained that it no longer requires a story. There is something quietly exhausting about this vision. Christmas does not save you. It watches you. It keeps records without ceremony. If Dickens threatens erasure, Alcott threatens something subtler. The realization that goodness, once expected, no longer earns recognition. You are good because you must be, not because it redeems you. Then there is the dead, where Christmas offers no moral leverage at all. The party is perfect. Everything is done correctly. The rituals are intact. And yet they function like insulation, not connection. They keep the characters from feeling the full cold of their own lives. Gabriel Conroy's epiphany is devastating precisely because it is not moral. He is not confronted with wrongdoing. He is confronted with his own smallness. His wife's emotional life is shaped more deeply by the dead than by him. The past does not ask permission before asserting its claim. Christmas, the season of renewal, becomes the setting in which renewal fails to arrive. The snow falling upon all the living and the dead is often described as beautiful. It is, but it is also obliterating. Snow covers differences. It quiets effort. It suggests that the universe is not particularly interested in who tried hardest or loved best. Christmas here does not judge behavior. It dissolves the comforting illusion that moral participation guarantees significance. Long before Joyce, literature understood that Christmas suspends ordinary time and that this suspension is risky. In Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, the Christmas feast creates the conditions for catastrophe. The Green Knight's challenge works only because refusal would violate the season's codes of honor and generosity. Festivity becomes compulsion. Courtesy becomes a trap. Gawain does not volunteer for danger. He's maneuvered into it by ritual expectation. Christmas does not civilize violence here. It legitimizes it. The romance exposes the darker truth beneath communal values. When ideals are publicly staged, they acquire coercive force. To fail them is not merely personal, it is social. Christmas magnifies that pressure until choice begins to resemble fate. The same destabilizing energy appears in a different register in The Nutcracker and the Mouse King. Christmas does not protect the child, it unsettles her. Toys come alive not as comfort but as threat. The familiar world fractures. The boundary between imagination and reality dissolves. Here, Christmas releases what ordinary time contains: fear, aggression, the fragility of identity itself. Hoffman refuses the modern fantasy that tradition stabilizes the self. He suggests instead that tradition amplifies whatever the self cannot control. By the time we reach Hogfather, the mechanism is no longer hidden. The holiday survives only because people believe in it. And belief, Pratchett insists, is work. It is not innocence. It is responsibility. You have to believe the little lies so you can believe the big ones is not comforting. It is an admission that justice, mercy, and meaning do not arise naturally. They must be imagined into existence and sustained against indifference. Christmas is one such imagining. It is fragile. It is artificial. And without it, something human collapses. What Pratchett understands, and what ties him back to Dickens, Joyce, and the medieval poets, is that Christmas is not dangerous because it is false, but because it asks us to live as if certain things were true, that kindness matters, that memory binds us, that time can be held to account. Sometimes literature lets that belief redeem us. Sometimes it lets it fail, but it never treats the belief as trivial. Across centuries, Christmas functions less as a theme than as an instrument. It compresses time. It summons memory. It invites judgment, sometimes moral, sometimes existential, sometimes cruelly indifferent. It asks whether a life can survive being looked at all at once. I think Christmas endures in literature not because it is easy to believe in, but because it is hard. It exposes the self to time, to others, and to its own expectations. And even when that exposure wounds, writers return to it again and again, not to escape seriousness, but because Christmas concentrates it. It is not a pause from meaning. It is meaning intensified, offered once more, with all the tenderness and danger that offering implies.